Now we're ready. Go ahead.
All right. Fernando Mendez, chiropractor, Brooklyn. So my journey through the Bible there, reading that whole thing. I was dragging a little bit in the summer. I was getting through David, Solomon. It should have been a little bit more exciting, I think, for myself. But I came across this, I'm going to say it wrong probably, Ecclesiastes. Oh, I think I said it okay. And I got excited. It was a little guide, I guess, in the wisdom of Solomon. And I don't know why I got so excited about it. I guess it was something I wish I'd come across earlier and I had never heard about it. And it seemed like a little life advice guidebook that was like, oh, this is nice. Basically, he's saying that we should take things as God's gift. So it's almost like having a good attitude about things. I think we've all heard that, attitude of gratitude. And then he says, all you really have to do in life is fear God, they write, and follow His commandments. So I spoke to another chiropractor and I said, I can't deal with this fear thing because the worst thing, you could be is in fear. And I said, I'd like respect. And he was saying the same thing. We both came, he's like, I respect, not so much fear. And he had ended up actually being his favorite book. It was a book that got him to start reading the Bible like 25 years ago. But I was wondering, how does this affect me in chiropractic? Try to bring it back to what we do. And I have been struggling with the idea of being humble. And it just reframed it for me where I think, most of the time it's pretty easy for me to accept, hey, I'm not the guy doing the healing. There's something happening between me and this person. And in the art of chiropractic, a force comes in that really helps this magic happen. I was always fine with that part, but a different aspect was like humbling myself to the patient. I'm always, it's just hard, like this morning, seeing that person and go, man, she's gonna have a long way to go before she gets well, because as soon as I put my hand on her, she's yelling and screaming. It didn't matter where I was. But just thinking about being humble and respecting the insanity that could be in life, it is hard for her to see that road to getting better. And you accept it. I try to present it to her like, hey ma'am, there is a way for you to get out of this mess, but it's not going to be it's probably going to be involved being uncomfortable. And you're going to have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't know if that came across to her, but I also was just humble to accept that maybe she wouldn't get the idea, and she just has to be where she's at. And that's part of just having respect for the insanity of life and not maybe everybody seeing things the way I would like them to see. That is what I have to share.
Would anyone like to ask Fernando anything? Anyone?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Nancy.
For a patient who's in a situation like that, hi Jackie, do they ever say to you, why is God doing this to me? Do they ever talk that
They
way?
might not say, why is God doing this to me, but they definitely ask, some guys like, well, why does this happen? And usually I just go, well, life is hard, and we need to take care of ourselves. And I said, you know better than I do what your history is. I said, I don't sit here with you and go through your own history. We could do that. I said, you know your history, what has happened to you, what you're going through. And if it does get to the why, it hasn't been with anybody that I'm going to really start breaking down stuff to. But I'll just leave it at that and saying, I'll even just, if they say why, I'll just say why. I said, why? I said, you'll have to get your wisdom to answer those whys. So, and they certainly don't appreciate any of that, but what else am I going to say?
Anyone else want to
I
ask?
say, come to my self-center lecture next year.
Anyone else want to ask Don Fernando anything? Anyone? Anyone else? All right, Fernando. Bueno, gracias. Excelente. Welcome, Fernando.
I was going to take my stuff. All right, thank you.
Don't worry about it. Jackie! Anyone else like to come up? All you have to do is raise your hand. Alex.
Hey everybody, Alex Wilkowitz, chiropractor in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. It was interesting, you were talking about humility. I've had some very difficult people recently in my office, and it's funny, they really can wear away at you, even once they're out of the office. And you know, you sometimes think about maybe just, you know, maybe asking them to move on a little bit. But I've found just being patient, trying to understand that people have different needs for why they come into our offices, and trying to meet them where they are, but also elevate where they are, I think is very, very important. And I really believe people end up in your office because, you know, they're there for a reason. And it's hard a lot of times when things are moving along really well in the office, and then you hit some speed bumps, and then it feels like they just start pushing you down. And it's always that, what do you do with them? And I think that's a work in progress, what to do with those people. That's it.
All right, anyone like to ask Alex anything? Anyone? Anyone? Stand over here. One more time, anyone like to ask Alex anything? All right, Alex, excellent. Buenos, clap for Alex. Anyone else want to, yeah, go for it, Jackie. Anyone else want to come up and speak? Anyone, you don't have to, of course, but anyone. Or someone in the world of Zoom, you're also welcome to speak. Wow, good boy, look at it. Good boy, Jackson Racing, what he wrote, that's the rules. Anyone else? Go ahead, Sura.
Hi, Sura, chiropractor in Jersey City, and I had an interesting experience recently. It really started when I saw on Instagram this post on healing generational trauma, and it was basically a cup of black water, and it was then there was a whole bunch of glasses, okay, with water, clear, and the generational trauma. It was like one. It starts here. That is. The cup has black water, then it gets poured down, and then poured down, and poured down, and poured down. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't really and then they said, this is what healing generational trauma is like. So the final glass, you start pouring in water, and it starts getting less black, and less black, and less black, and less, until it gets clear. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of cool. I was like, I don't think it's exactly like that, where one person does all the healing, like maybe, you know, who knows what it's really like. Every family's different, but maybe each person does their part. But we were invited recently to a Native American reservation, and the you know, as soon as we got there, like Brian and I were really hit with the heaviness from the trauma that, I don't even mean to call them Native Americans, the first people, the indigenous people of this country, what they went through, losing their land, and also the conditions they live under now, which a lot of their rights are restricted and things like that. So it was really, really heavy. And the family that invited us, when one of them, I went to adjust her, and I didn't know any of this, but while I'm adjusting her, I was like working on something in her intestines, and she was like, what's that? And I was like, and then suddenly it just like kind of came through, like, this is really heavy, this isn't yours to carry, this is why the kids are sick right now, because they're processing it, trying to get it out. And she looked at me and she was like, oh. And then she got up, and when she left, energetically, I looked at the table and I saw this big black weight. And I was like, oh, she let it go. And I just felt like, wow, I did what I came here to do. And I'm not going to lie, a few hours later, I was like, oh my God, why did I say that to her? What was I thinking? Like, who am I to say it? I don't even know if I'm right, you know. Sometimes it's better not to say anything, but I have to go with that. I was guided at that moment. And it was an interesting experience, and I think it's something that all of us in some way have to deal with and choose to not carry anymore for the next generation. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Anyone want to ask Sora anything? Anyone? everybody. Got it? Anyone? I'll go one more time. Anyone? All right, man.
Okay.
No, wait. Who's
Nancy
question?
Brown, wait, Nancy.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh, she
Hi,
next,
Nancy.
or she
Hi,
gets the
Sarah.
Hi.
Did you feel that this was an individual situation that you were dealing with? Or did you feel that there was some kind of connection to what's going on in the United States and globally about healing intergenerational wounds?
Yeah, it was like weird. It was like one aspect was the family, and then another aspect was like, at least with me, my personal awareness of like how America acts in the world and what it does to people that are indigenous to a land. And it's not just America, it's just the powers of colonization. So it was interesting. I became very aware of that in the last year. And like I knew about it before, but I became very aware in the last year. And so it was interesting when we were there. I was like, it's interesting. I was telling Brian, I was like, it's interesting we're going there because of that situation. But when I was working with that person directly, it felt like her and her family. But, you know, you're even the one that said, you guys were working day and night even while you were sleeping. And I was like, really? And I was like, I wonder if that's true. That if that is, that's kind of cool. Because most of the time me and Brian were like, why are we here? What are we doing here? What the heck? So, thanks.
Anyone else want to ask Sarah anything? Fernando.
What were you doing there? What was it?
It was a family retreat and they invited their healers to go. Yeah.
North Dakota. Anyone else like to ask Sarah anything? Anyone?
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Anyone else want to come up? You don't have to. Or anyone in Zoom world? You stand up. Oh, here's the mic. You get that
Tell
little
Nancy
dip?
to say something.
What's that?
Tell Nancy she's the only one left.
Well,
Oh.
he can.
Oh, she heard me.
Go ahead,
There she
Nancy.
All right, I'm the only one left.
Not really, all right.
Oh my goodness,
There's
it's a
other
small
people,
but
but-
powerful group tonight. Okay, this is something that I guess I'm speaking for myself and for Christina Jensen, my chiropractor here, is what we've been talking about is how people with very serious conditions are going to chiropractors first now. Whereas they used to go to the medical doctors and then the chiropractors kind of as adjunctive to whatever treatment they were getting. It seems that people with more serious and sometimes life-threatening conditions are ending up in chiropractic offices. And it's a blessing from my humble point of view. I'm not judging it, I'm just observing it because I think it's something that is kind of on the plate of the chiropractors now. That's all I wanted to say, just to comment on that.
Would anyone like to ask Nancy anything? Anyone? Anyone here like to ask Nancy anything? Well, one more time. Anyone? We got a quiet group. All right, Nancy. Thank you very much. Does anyone else want to get up and speak? Since we only have a few people, if you want to say something again, you can come up. If not, then I'm going to get up. Because we call the featured speaker, the person at the end, they come up, they don't have a time limit, and they speak, then that's it. So if no one else wants to do it, then I'll go. Let me just get this out of the way. Got a couple things prepared. We got a little jack over here. So my name is, well, I'll say it again, Brian Patrick Corrigan, chiropractor here in Jersey City, New Jersey. Fernando mentioned the word humble. And there's a woman, she comes in here, she said to me, I don't know how many years ago, 7, 8 years ago, something like that, maybe more. He says, when you're humble, those around you rise. So that was a big statement. It's like, I was listening to what you said, Alex, about the people. It's like, I learned a long time ago, just let people be who they are. If they want to be nervous, let them be nervous. It's not up to me to change them. And the people keep saying, well, how long do I have to come in? You know, as if it's on me. I said, well, that's up to you. It's not up to me. I could tell you something. You don't have to listen to me. But being humble, to me, means I'm not trying to push myself on people or demand they live the way I tell them to live. And when you give people that space and give them that respect, those who are really interested in growing, they'll do it. But that's up to them. And whatever they do is fine with me. I'm going to love them either way. Now, I'm going to use the marker here in a second. So, I've been talking about lately, I'm just going to write something, but I'm going to write true north. So what is true north? When you have a compass, that needle's not on true north. It's actually on magnetic north. It's a magnet. But true north is really the straight up and down. If you go through there, it'd be the true north of the earth would be straight up and down. And some people call that, they say that's where like your God's consciousness is. Now, to live in this is really, when you live here, so L-I-V-E, in that consciousness, that's really where you're going to have stillness and you'll have peace. But there are many people and many things in the world that want to take you out of this. So you can be the opposite. And if you spell the word live backwards, it's evil. Eva. And this is just something where once you get distracted, your focus is not here, you get into here. And that's how you get yourself into trouble. And I'm even going to erase that word, so don't look at it anymore. So, as a chiropractor, this is where I'm focused. And so I wrote some things down, and this is really that just is. This is that stillness, and you'll find peace in here. Now living meaning you're taking this and you're animating this. You're bringing this consciousness, you're bringing it forth for me, I'll say by myself, I'm bringing this forth for me to use. Now to animate these things, and that's really is, you know, this is God's thought universe. I want to take this and make it a part of my life and animate it, make it, put it into action, make it a living thing. And Pasquale used to talk about, when you live in here, all things are possible. This is how someone's arm could grow back. This is how, just think of the wildest thing you could imagine, but keep yourself in there and you'll see these things happen. Now, you also have, what I was talking about, the pushback. There are people in certain who want to take you out of this because they want you over here to control you and push you around and let you argue with each other and complain and do all those things. But once again, that's really like more of an illusion. So just keep focusing here, focusing here. And that's what chiropractic does. Every time someone comes in and goes to the chiropractor who's focused on here and wants to live in there, you can't be taken out of this. And the more we stay in here and keep thinking about that, you'll notice the better we are, the more we'll change, the more relaxed we'll be. Then anyone who wants to be around us, and if they're not in that relaxed state, they're not going to want to be around you because they're going to be uncomfortable, because it's going to be too intense for them. And they'll just get out of your life. If you want to get rid of them, they'll just leave on their own without you saying a word. And those who are interested in being in this, around that, they'll come into your life. And these things need to be done in small, sequential steps. Now, there's this guy, he has a video, what do you call it, a YouTube channel. His name is Mark, but the channel is called Soft White Underbelly. And he interviews all types of people, but he interviewed a lot of veterans lately were in the Iraq and Afghanistan. So these guys now are pretty much in their 40s, like early to late 40s. And the one guy I listened today, he's in rough shape. He's homeless right now, he's on drugs, and his quote was, "I'm not finished hurting yet." He's asking him, like, how come you won't get out of the situation? And that's a lot of people, what you meet, for some reason, they're not finished hurting, they're not finished feeling that pain. So I can't make them get out of it. Well, my job is to help them feel that peace in here. And when they do that, you'll notice that person will relax and they'll start doing these things all on their own without me telling them to do it. They'll just do it. Good chiropractic helps the people slow down, helps the people feel safe, and it helps the people realize they can do it in small sequential steps. Because once you get into here, this is freedom. And it's like we come in here, then it's like when you go to meet a chiropractor, you're stepping out of space and time. And you're going into here where there is no space and time. And you're seeing yourself. You're seeing every single thing that you need inside of you that's really in your way from feeling free and feeling safe and feeling loved. And when you jump back into space and time, you still have that sense of freedom in you. And when you do that, you have a little more awareness of the things you need to work on. You're doing small sequential steps. Then the next thing you know, you're watching this person and things that they were going through, they're going through them. They keep coming in, and whatever their pace they want to do it, you'll notice that they have improvements and they have peace of mind and they just in general. And and physically they feel better. Because when it's like picture a white light going through you. And I remember Nancy told me this. She saw, it's like you see a white light, and wherever you have fear or pain and anger, it gets stuck. And that's what gets people sick, because that white light's not going through you. So there's a saying from, if you ever read the Gnostic Gospels, it's called, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. So meaning, just let that white light flow through you, and you'll be good in every single way. And that is a very humbling thing for me to see people go through these things, but with every single person, it makes me realize I need to do these things for myself. I have to be focused on it. And that's really all I have to say. I'm going to keep it just like that this evening. So does anyone want to ask me anything? I'm going to stand over here if I can see. Anyone want to ask me anything? Well, my main point was I'm keeping myself in here. Jackie, ¿qué tú haces? Anyone else want to ask? All right, if not, we'll just end it. I'll give you one more opportunity. Anyone? Davidson.
Is there a road map or path to there?
Is there a roadmap or a path to here?
Correct.
Yeah, I do. But each person is different. Because we all have, like she was saying, these things from the past in us. But I just think, just know it's there. And just by knowing that that exists and knowing that that's really who we are, however you want to get there. But I think the one thing I learned from Pasquale was, he says, all roads lead, the old saying, all roads lead to Rome. There's another one, all roads lead to heaven. But to me, he says, but chiropractic will get you there the quickest. And I think the safest. But I think you've been coming in for some time, and I believe the chiropractic helps you see what that path is for you, and you just do it. And you don't need to explain yourself or justify yourself to anyone. Just do what you know is right for you. Does anyone else want to ask me anything? Nancy.
Yeah, this phenomenon of people leaving, like somebody you might have been working with for, let's say, years, and then all of a sudden you don't see them anymore. Do you believe that that is part of the pushback or something they're going through? Or how do you see that in your understanding in terms of True North and the space of freedom and possibility?
Well, maybe that person only needed to meet me just that one time to get what they need. I look at it that way. One guy once, I only saw him like maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and I didn't see him, and I'm walking down the street, and he comes up to me, and I remember who he is. He actually came in here a few months ago. I hadn't seen him in years. But anyway, going back, I saw him in the street. He came up to me. He goes, "I just want you to know, when I saw you that last time," he was telling me his life was a mess. But just by seeing me that time, it made him do such a shift inside of him that his life was instantly better. Now whether or not I feel he should have kept coming in, I didn't say anything to him. I said, well, I'm happy you made that shift. And maybe that's all that guy can handle at that moment. Maybe if he kept coming in, it would have been too much. And that's bad for people too. If you push someone and force it, it's too much for them. They can't handle that, and it can hurt them actually. Because if you rise in your consciousness too fast, you get hurt. So, and some people, they're afraid of it. Some people run to love, some people run from love. I've seen that too with people. Once they start to really sense themselves and sense that true north, it freaks them out for various reasons, and they just take off. So I've seen various things. I've seen people come in, and they continue to come in because they know for them it's helping them, and maybe they can't even explain it, but they sense it. So I've seen that too. Does anyone else want to ask me anything? That's why I always say let people be who they are. It's their choice. And love them either way. Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, one more thing.
Sure.
Just a segue on that. The notion of pushback,
Yes.
that are you able, or is it necessary to differentiate the pushback that your patients go through and the pushback that you go through?
I mean, I think it's something, it makes me realize when I see people go through it that it's something that affects me as well. Like,
Right.
I haven't had air conditioning in this office for 2 weeks. And it was
Whoa.
super hot, and there's someone here who can testify to that. And it's hot in the waiting room, and I was like, even the one night, I thought I was going to faint at the end. It was just so hot. But I just did it. But I was talking to Sora, I'm like, you know what, it is a pushback. And I spoke to our friend Ted. Ted's a guy Nancy and I know, and Sora. And I said, but I'm not going to, even though it's a pushback, I'm not going to argue, I'm not going to complain, and I'm not going to yell at anyone about it, even though I could with the people who run this building, but I choose not to. So I'm just going to work through it, and it's going to be resolved. It's going to be resolved in a proper way. But I think if I got upset and started yelling and started screaming and started taking a fit, that would take me away from where I really need to be, and I couldn't allow it. So, but I do see people, and some people, they ask me, I'll tell them about the pushback, but I have to make sure it's something that they're willing to hear, or else I don't say it. Alex?
Do you ever feel like you need to put, like, when Pasquale a lot of times kind of like scream things to kind of like push people a bit? Do you ever feel that?
What's the first? Scream, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you ever feel that? Or is that just not your
I
way?
mean, I wouldn't yell like a story I saw at Pasquale, you know, these chairs that we're sitting on are from his basement. And we had the meetings down there, but this is in Brooklyn, like a fireplace room, and that's where these chairs are from. And this is back when his wife Elita was still alive, a lovely woman. And she had a little meeting. There's a woman there who had a stroke, and she couldn't raise her arm over her head, but she could speak well. And I was there, so Pasquale, she was sitting right in one of these, might have been this chair. And she was from Panama, I still remember, she's the country Panama. And he got up, and he said to her, he yelled, he goes, "What do you want to do?" And she goes, she's right next to her, "I want to raise my arm above my head," and she did it. She goes, "Oh my God, I did it." And he goes, "Fine, I'll leave it." And he went and he sat down. And he described that as, he zapped her. He understood, he could see things in people, he just knew how to do that. I'm really just starting to get to that point. But remember, by the time that this is like 1998, he'd been a chiropractor for like 55 years. So he'd been around. And he says it takes you 10 years to learn how to sense what someone needs. keep doing it. I see things in people. Some people I can say stuff in a more strong way, but most people aren't ready for that because they might take that as you're insulting them. He's from such a different era, too. Like yelling at me is okay because I grew up like that. You know, I'm from the '70s. That's how we grew up. But for most people, I wouldn't do that unless they're older. Oh, anyone else? But the other thing is, it's fun being a chiropractor. It's fun to watch people grow and be happy and work through their things. And my job is pretty much to sit back, say as little as possible, and help them whatever way I can. But the one thing with Squally, he could look at someone and he knew exactly what was going on with them. That's what he told me, and I believe him. I think we can all do that, and I'm getting there.
Why do you watch that show?
The Soft White Underbelly? This show, he started by, he's in Los Angeles in Skid Row, which I've never been, but apparently it was just, he filmed it. I had no idea. People living out in the street in tents. It was insane. I know, like, and it was all drug addicts. I know a lot of people like that. I've been friendly, because I lived in Jersey City a long time when you had a lot of people like that, and they were all in front of my office, and I'd have to walk. I said, look, if you're going to pass out, just help me out and pass out maybe on the side, so we don't have to step over you. And I know a lot of people like that. I know when you meet people like that who are drug addicts and they're homeless, they really don't hide anything. I mean, even though they might lie and say, I want to get money to eat, but it's not for food. But besides that, they'll tell you about their lives, and they won't hold anything back. It's like everything's out in the open for them. And they're actually, when you get down to know them, really nice people. And they're just in a rough spot. So he interviews all these people, and I think it's great for people who have never been around people like that to see. Look what this person went through. Because he goes through their lives, how they get up to this point. And that's what I like about that show. But he also, he interviews guys who were criminals, and guys who were bikers, or he interviewed a former guy from Manhattan. He was a professor. So he interviews all types of people. But his main thing, he says to people, you know, if you could just love yourself, then you're not going to have all these problems. And that's why I like him.
You also think, I was just actually watching one this morning where he had a gal who was originally from like Ashgabat, but I guess she had gone through school and she just got stuck on junk, and it's, you know, been a downward spiral for 10 years. But you think it's almost like everybody has a compelling story, and it would be so easy to just dismiss people like that as being throwaways, and that they are real people.
Yeah, and I used to take care of all those people. I said, if you want to get adjusted, you can come in, but you can't have any drugs on you or alcohol. I'll take care of you, but, and some of them took me up on it. And I miss all of them. Most of them are dead. There's a hand, maybe 3 are still alive. We're talking about a lot of people. I'm throwing, it'd be a lot of names if I told you who passed away. And I miss all of them, because I knew all their names, and I learned so much from all of them. They're all very bright. Just because I'm a drug addict or doesn't mean they're stupid. They're very bright people. And you have to be tough as nails to survive these streets. I wouldn't want to be out there like that. So I have the utmost respect for anyone.
Well, even that one today, she's been living like 10 years on the street in the Tenderloin in San Fran. I couldn't even imagine one night.
You got to be tough, and you have to. They also know how to read people. That's the one thing. The one woman, Karen, she was my neighbor. She'd get so drunk, they'd pick her up, put her in a shopping cart, and push her around. And then she decided she liked being pushed around. When she was sober, they'd push her around. And she was the queen of Newark Avenue. And she goes to me one day, she goes, I just want to close my eyes and be done with this. So she fell in the street, she passed away. She was 33 years old. And she had children. But she was one of the brightest people I've ever met in my life. But being a chiropractor, I'm going to tell you a real quick one. This person came in to me and said when they were a child, like 5 and 6, her mother would come in while she was sleeping and just keep punching her in the face. Well, this woman told me, keep punching her in the face and saying, you are the reason, you're the cause of every problem this family has. And this went on until she was able to defend herself at an older age. So by the time I met her, she was close to 80. And she goes to me, you know what, Brian? I know everything my mother said to me was not right, it was wrong, but she's like, there's still a little piece of me that believes everything she ever said to me. She goes, that's how powerful these experiences are when you go through these things. So when she told me that, and I look at people, and I realize a lot of people have these stories. They're not going to, some people tell me, most don't. They go through a lot of things. And I truly believe that chiropractic will help them get through it, whether they ever tell me one thing about their lives or not. But I know it will help them. And that's why Nancy is telling you these people are going into chiropractic with all these situations that they sense. This is going to help me. Anyone else? All right, one more time. Anyone? Thank you, Jackie, for the food. All right. All right, everyone, that's it. We'll clap, and that's it. Thank you. Jackie, I don't know what this is.
Pizza. There's pizza,
Thank
right?
you.